In this video, I show you Digital Taxidermy's current Kickstarter, Fast Terrain. But before we get into today's video, just want to share with you what the GGGG is for this month. Each month, Bob the Polder picks some of my Patreon supporters to receive gratitude gifts. And for this month of May of 2022, we have this printed and painted bridge from Decals Quest Grimness Fortress set. We have Bardsung Legend Pledge in hand and ready to ship. Wonderland's War Deluxe Edition with premium chips, also ready to ship. Pro Acryl Miniature Paints base set, a $94 value. $100 going towards the Grexdale STL files for this village set. And then finally, we have 3 all-in pledges for this Fast Terrain Kickstarter. Use the links below in order to go to my Patreon page to find out more details. I've done a number of previous videos for Digital Taxidermy, and in fact, I have a couple of prints from their previous Kickstarter called Progenitor Fabricatum, and I think that title was so obscure and hard to remember that this time around, these files, they just simply named it Fast Terrain. And sure enough, one of the big unique things about this terrain is that the walls are super thin, and therefore each one of these buildings does take only about 10 hours to print. So over the course of 24 hours, you are able to print up 2 of these buildings as well as some of the roofs. So when they say it's fast terrain, they mean it is very fast to print out. And Digital Taxidermy are the ones who create terrain using your old spools from your filaments, and they have perfected the thickness of the terrain so that you are maximizing the amount of terrain for using the least amount of PLA. So that makes all of their terrain really economical. Even compared to some of their previous files, these files are really detailed but print out very, very quickly. So you're able to fill up a whole table of terrain relatively quickly. This is a sci-fi line rather than fantasy, and they've done fantasy in the past, but I really appreciate being able to use this set for sci-fi games. I plan on using it for Mantic's Firefight that just came out, but you can use it for Stargrave, Starbreach, or any other sci-fi games that you want. And they're very modular. They do stack on top of each other. They have these really thin slots where they stick together really nicely, which I really appreciate a lot. They have bridges, they have walkways, all that kinds of stuff. And this is interchangeable where you can put these buildings over here or take this off, all that kinds of stuff. So I'm going to walk through the Kickstarter campaign so that you can see some of the options. But even that Kickstarter campaign is relatively simple, and there's only one pledge level of only $17. So this Kickstarter, I think, is a no-brainer, because you can get these files and be able to print these out, fill up your board, and you're ready to game really quickly. The other thing I really appreciate about this set is that they do include some decals, which are meant to be printed onto a sticker sheet. I just honestly just print it out on a regular sheet of paper, cut it out, and use a glue stick and just stick them onto these buildings, and that works out perfectly fine as well. But I love it when these 3D files do come with some graphics that you can put on there, and it actually fits in and slots in on various parts of these buildings. So that makes it so that you just paint these up really quickly, and then you're able to add details just by putting these decals on there. Also included that I don't show is a bunch of graffiti, so you're able to apply that too. I don't have a painting tutorial, so sorry about that, but I did use exactly the same painting methods that I show with Corvus Tycho Starport. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check that out here, and you can see all of the methods that I use to make this sort of blasted out, really rusty terrain. I also like that they have smaller buildings offered and these barricades, which I think is great at blocking line of sight and providing some cover with your mass army games. So there is a lot of variety, and they have pretty much unlocked most of their stretch goals. Let's go ahead and go over to the computer and I can walk you through the campaign. So here we have the Kickstarter page, and this campaign isn't really that complicated. By the time I post this video, there will be a little bit more than a week left, so make sure to jump on it if you are interested. They've managed to raise $4,500 US. And the nice thing about this is there's really only one pledge level. And again, $17 US, 13 pounds. That is super cheap. And I definitely agree that you can get a lot onto your table, a lot of terrain onto your table really quickly. So if you are crunched for time or you have a tournament where you do need a lot of terrain, I think this is a fantastic option. Now, they do have some floor tiles that are available, a grid system. And I saw that you can use scissors just to cut them up. I opted not to use that because I have mats, but if you need that, that is available as well. Like I mentioned before, completely modular. Here are the decals that is included. And another nice thing is that it is compatible if you have any of their spool files from previous Kickstarters. And any of their previous Kickstarters is available on their website. Use the links below to go to their website, and you can purchase any of their previous files that are available. And they do have a lot, both fantasy as well as sci-fi terrain. And as you can see here, they have unlocked almost all of their stretch goals. These shipping containers look really cool as well. And I showed you some of those stretch goals too. They do have versions with interior walls if you do need rooms inside of them. Again, for me, I tend to not go inside of buildings too often, but that is a nice feature, nice option. And they do have a round silo that hasn't been unlocked, nor the large room. I do think that the barricades will become unlocked eventually. So that is a nice feature as well. And also, as you saw, their last Kickstarter, the Progenitors Fabricatum, which goes really well with this set, is a bonus offer. You can buy it with a code that gives you a 50% discount. So if you haven't picked that up, I would definitely go ahead and get that because you're getting a ton of files. And here is the code. That's pretty much it. So again, check out their website because they do have a ton of really cool files. So there you have it, relatively quick video today. I think this set is fantastic, and again, you're able to print them out relatively quickly, has a high amount of detail, is really durable and sturdy despite the fact that it's really thin. One quick note, I do print everything at 0.2 millimeter height on my Prusa MK3S, and that level of detail is good enough for me. Typically, I do use my heat gun in order to get rid of all of this little bits of stringing that happens invariably with all of FDM printing, but I definitely would suggest not to do that because these pieces are so thin, you are going to warp the pieces. So don't use a heat gun. You might want to just use a lighter or an open flame to get rid of some of that stringing. Also, don't leave this out in the sun when you are spray priming it because, again, the direct sunlight will probably warp these really thin pieces. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, it is super sturdy. I really do like this terrain a lot, and hopefully this video is helpful for you to determine whether or not you want to get this on your gaming table. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Otherwise, happy printing, happy gaming. We'll see you next time.